Should you play the red base or blue base for AncientGarurumon? That's exactly what we're going to be talking about today with the pros and cons and which one I would recommend to you guys. To give you guys the answer right off the bat, I personally prefer playing the red base, not only because it has more competitive success in topping more events compared to the blue base, it also has a very straightforward strategy which is incredibly easy to pick up and learn for new players. But I'm still also going to include the blue base because there's a lot of pros to it as well, just in case if you guys want to learn more about it as well. So let's start with talking about what the red base does. It focuses on a pretty much like a rookie rush strategy with the Uko engine to cycle a ton of eggs and have a lot of search and draw power with your red rookies. And aside from that, you have a lot of meta counters with the floodgates that you want to include to slow down your opponents as you take them down. And then there is the whole blue-yellow hybrid engine that helps you get into AncientGarurumon for further control, warping combos to deal damage and bounce your opponent's stuff at the same time. It's kind of like running two separate engines at the same time where there's no direct synergy, but once you stitch them up together, it really shows on how fast this deck can be at taking down your opponent's security. So to begin with the Digi-Egg cards, I'm running 4 copies of the BT14 Koromon as our main draw power egg, and also running the BT7 Digimon as our 5th egg. And the whole reason is because we run Ukomon, therefore we're hatching a lot. 4 copies of the BT16 for searching, and the 1-up promo to gain additional memory, where both of their intention is to help us hatch Digi-Egg so that we can Digivolve into another rookie right afterwards. I've also included 2 copies of the BT7 Boko just to help us further search for pieces that we need, and potentially gaining 2 memory back when we Digivolve into hybrid is always great value. And now let's talk about the red base rookies with the 4 copies of Muchomon, which gives us additional draw power alongside with Koromon when we intend to chip with our red Digimon. And for the rest of the rookies, I'm focusing on floodgates with 3 copies of Gotsumon and Shamamon, which are currently the best at slowing down the meta. Level 4 is this is where we begin talking about our blue and yellow hybrid package, and starting off I want to talk about AncientGarurumon, which I'm running 4 copies of the BT7 one. This is where the main combo line starts, where we want to attack with it so then we can Digivolve into a Lobomon and then warp Digivolve into an AncientGarurumon. We also get to draw when we're attacking with it, and there's several ways to get into this card, where you can first Digivolve on top of a yellow or blue level 3 for 3 costs, Digivolve for 2 on top of Koji, Digivolve for 1 on top of Lobo, or it can even Digivolve on top of any yellow tamer as if it was a level 3 Digimon for the 3 cost. Its inheritable gives us additional draw when we have 7 or fewer cards in our hand, and this is where we'll start talking about our Lobomon with 4 copies of the BT17 one, where we always want to ensure that we're Digivolving with a AncientGarurumon in the stack so that we can then warp into an AncientGarurumon for 3 costs. Keep in mind, it does get deleted at the end of the turn after this effect. And just like AncientGar, additional draw power with his inherent effects, and there's several ways to Digivolve into this guy as well. Then I'm running 2 copies of the BT18 Lobomon, which can help us search our security to find missing pieces that we need, whether if it's the other Lobo, AncientGar, or an AncientGar to complete our combo line. That's it for level 4s. Now let's talk about level 5s, where I'm running 1 copy of the BT17 Beowulf. This is a very nice late game card once we have a AncientGar and Lobo in the trash, where we can tuck underneath a Koji and then double spirit Digivolve. And when we Digivolve into it, we can stun down the opponent's Digimon or Tamers for an entire turn. And with his inherent effect, we also get to bounce level 4s, which has really good synergy with AncientGar to force your opponents to add security to hand as well. And for the other level 5, gotta include the 1 copy of Jet Selfie, just because we can reduce its Digivolution cost, and instant recovery is always fantastic. That's it for level 5s. Let's now talk about level 6, where the whole focus of the deck is AncientGarurumon, which is our only level 6, but we definitely need 4 copies of it. When we play it or Digivolve it, we bounce the opponent's lowest level to their hand, and during your turn, whether you or your opponent adds a card to their hand, you get to force your opponent to add the top card of their security. And the reason why this is so good is because it plays around security effects that otherwise would have given your opponent value through Tamers or even options. And whenever this card is deleted, you get to recore resources with a hybrid and a tamer back from trash, and you get to play a tamer for free. Aside from warping into it with Lobo, you always have the option to hard play it and reduce its play cost further by digicrossing with a Lobo and Kendo. That's it for our Digimon. Let's now talk about Tamers. I'm currently running the 3 copies of the all-new BT18, Takuya, and Koji. It's a 5-cost tamer, but it gives you a ton of value in return with it being a memory setter. You can also add in hybrid sources underneath at the starter main to rack up inheritables that you want. And one of the best things about this card is its inherit effect as you Digivolve into a hybrid. Even if you pass your memory to your opponent's side, you still get to resolve the end of turn, attack the opponent, which is almost like Blitz. Next, I got 3 copies of the BT7 Koji, which we rarely would use its main effect to put 5 sources underneath, whereas we're trying to utilize its inherit effect to gain a memory and to dodge blockers. Then there's 1 copy of the BT17 Koji as a secondary memory setter to gain a memory and also give jamming with his inherent effect. Right now, I've been testing one copy of the BT18 Koichi, which has a lot of neat applications when it comes to synergizing with the deck. First, it's a yellow tamer, meaning your Kendos and your Lobos can Digivolve on top of it. And at the starter main, you can always gain a memory by pitching away a hybrid or 10 warrior trait card, and you can always grab it back with its inherited effect so that you can ensure you're missing pieces when you're trying to go for a warping combo. The other thing is that this is also a purple tamer, meaning it can help you fulfill the warping requirements of Lobo without necessarily needing Kendo when you Digivolve it on top of a different tamer once this is set up. And I'll further explain all these cool tricks in the combos later as well. Then to round out for the Tamers, I'm running one copy of the Louis just to synergize with our Uko engine, push out and try to have additional attacks, potentially finish games, and continuously gain memory whenever we come up from the reading as well. Options, I'm running 3 copies of Ancient Guardian Deity, which is always great to recur resources back from the trash and potentially play Tamers for free, or we can even reduce the play cost of AncientGarurumon along with Digi-Crossing as well. Security effect of being able to play out any tamer for free and then adding this card to hand is always great to see. Since this deck is a red base, it gives us access to red removal option cards such as Crimson Blaze, and we got 2 of them, which is really important to not only get rid of the opponent's wide board, but also preemptively prevent them from playing Digimon by effect. This is exceptionally good against Imperial, Lord Knight, and all other decks that want to play Digimon via effects, and by slowing them down for one whole turn, it lets us continue to aggro and outpace them. I also teched in one copy of Heaven's Judgment since we have yellow sources, and thanks to having so many different colors in this deck, we can easily scale a ton of DP reduction with this card. And last but not least, we're running the one of Hammer Spark and Ice Wall just for additional memory manipulation and security effect to surprise our opponents, potentially passing turn or limiting their plays. Tech choices and other cards I've also considered adding into this deck. Other than the Digimon, you can also run the Demi-Meramon from BT18. Same reason to get rid of Floodgate rookies. For additional search, there's also the BT17 Flamemon to potentially get 2 targets, and since we run a red base, it fits perfectly, or even the red Boko to do the same. Other Floodgate rookies, there's Solomon and Gaussmon, which you can always rotate in depending on the meta situation. And if you feel like you need more Kendo Garurumons to fulfill additional names, the BT7 one gives jamming, and the BT4 one is great for removing Floodgate rookies. You can also include the BT7 Beowulfmon, as it can reduce its Digivolution cost, recycle your hybrids from sources, and to bounce the opponent's level 4s. Sometimes there's situations where it is still your turn after warping into an AncientGarurumon, and this is where you can actually Digivolve into a Shine-Greymon Ruin mode to pass the turn and have the stack delete itself at the end of the turn, and then give your opponent a blanket minus 10,000 DP, which is very difficult to play around. Sometimes you might find yourself hard playing your AncientGarurumon and they won't be deleted, and this is where you can threaten a potential Shine-Greymon Burst Mode Ace against your opponents to further DP reduce and play out additional tamers. If the meta is really wide, Death-X is always a great inclusion to wipe out boards. There are other yellow tamers you can also include with Taikari and TKKari, which helps gain you additional memory when security is low. Digimon Emperor is always good to counter against other rush-based decks that utilize the Uko engine with rookies as well. Then for additional removal options, there's always Full Moon Meteor Impact to bounce anything you want and potentially gain memory back as well, depending on how many cards your opponent has. So that wraps up the building guide for the red base, and now let's take a look at the blue base and talk about the pros and cons, and this is an example list of what I would run. And there's a couple of key card differences that I like to highlight on. And the first one's being the Digi-Egg cards with Wanyamon as the main draw power and Bukamon to provide jamming. The other reason why Wanyamon is really important is because you can sequence your draws after going into AncientGarurumon, which guarantees you adding a card to hand and bouncing your opponent's security. The reason behind running 5 eggs is also because of the inclusion of Analog Youth, which helps you continuously hatch, and you can also gain memory back when your Ancient Guard is deleted, which is always great to keep turn. The main rookie line consists of Strabimon with BT17 to provide the search and with his inherent effect to play out tamers with reduced cost. And there's also the BT7 one, which does the same to continue find your pieces, and with his on deletion inherited, you can play out a Koji for free. And there's also the one from BT6, which gives you that inheritable of gaining a memory when you attack. You can see that most of the level 4s and beyond is exactly the same as a red base, where the whole intention is to use your BT17 Kendo to Digivolve into the Lobo and then warp into an Ancient Guard. But now you have access to even more plays thanks to the promo Lobomon, which can also help you instantly warp into an Ancient Guard for 1 cost when it's Digivolved. You can also use this inherit effect to further reduce its Digivolution cost when you get into AncientGarurumon. And this is really nice when you can tuck it underneath Takuya and Koji as you go for the BT17 combo line. It also gives you the option to Digivolve up your level 3s, 4s, and 5s and then into AncientGarurumon, which then will no longer be deleted because you're not just warping into it. You can also go into Magna Garurumon as your alternative level 6 for additional removal with the BT18 one to delete stuff depending on what you put back in security, or the promo one to bounce level 3, 4s, and 5s. You can also Hyper Spirit Digivolve into these guys on top of Takuya and Koji as you rack up additional sources thanks to the other half of the deck being Hybrid Trait related as well now. Alright, combos and how to play the Ancient Garurumon deck with the red base. Mulligan hand, you just want to see your rookies. Ukomon to search, Boko to search, red rookies to Digivolve at the back and start establishing and start attacking to draw as much as possible, to find your Lobomon, Kendo Garurumon, and your Tamers and set them up on the board so that you can start going for your warping attacks with Ancient Garurumon. Starting with combo number 1, I'm going to show you guys the basic of trying to warp into Ancient Garurumon traditionally. All you need is a Koji with 2 memory to start off with. Digivolve into Kendo Gar for 2 costs, and you're going to immediately attack with the Kendo Gar. When attacking, you get to draw 1, and because you added a card to hand, you get to gain a memory with Koji, and is also unblockable for the turn. Next, when attacking, you're going to Digivolve into Lobomon. Lobomon, when Digivolving, since you have a Kendo Gar in the sources, this is where you can warp into Ancient Garurumon for 3 costs. If your opponent has a Digimon on the board, this is the best part because you will bounce their lowest level to their hand, and then because they added a card to their hand during your turn, you're going to bounce their security as well, and then you go for a check. At the end of the turn, because it's going to get deleted, this is where you get to grab your sources back. Let's just say you grab a Kendo back. Instead of playing the same Koji that we grabbed back, we're going to play out Takuya and Koji as our main priority because we're going to bridge into our second part on how to utilize them. For the second combo, as I follow up from the previous one, I'm going to show you guys a very cool way of how you can actually prevent your Ancient Garurumon from being deleted thanks to this new Tamer. You're going to start your turn at 3 memory because of these guys. You're going to Digivolve for 2 into Kendo Garurumon. Normally you would swing and warp into Lobo, but this is where you wouldn't do it. You want to find a way to actually pass your turn first. So let's just say we're going to go ahead and play that Koji, which we recouped back earlier on. And then we're going to go ahead and swing with Kendo Garurumon because of the end of turn allowing to attack. When we attack, we get to draw a card, and then we get to Digivolve into Lobo here for free. Lobo, again, is going to warp into Ancient Gar for the 3 costs, and once again, bouncing opponent's lowest level Digimon to their hand, and also bouncing their security if they add a card to their hand. Now, at the end of turn, Ancient Garurumon is not going to be deleted. That is because the end of turn has already activated and triggered, and what this means is that Ancient Garurumon gets to stay on the board, which is absolutely insane. Another cool tip is that if you have Kendo Garurumon in the trash, you can actually add it underneath Takuya and Koji, and then Digivolve into Lobo for 2, and because Lobo sees the Kendo Gar in the sources, you fulfill the warping condition to go into Ancient Garurumon for 3 costs. With that, you can bounce your opponent's lowest level Digimon on the board, and then also force them to add the top card of their security once again. Now, one ruling clarification is that some of you guys might be thinking you get to resolve the end of turn attack before it gets deleted. However, that is not the case. You get to attempt to go for the attack, but once you declare the attack, you actually need to resolve all other pending effects before the attack actually fully resolves. What that means is that the Lobo is going to have the end of turn on deletion. But aside from that, you also get to utilize the when attacking to draw 1 if you have 7 fewer cards in your hand, which is kind of nice. But otherwise, you're going to end up deleted and you're not going to have the attack go through. But once you're deleted, you still get to resolve the same returning combo of Ancient Garurumon to grab sources back and then play out a Tamer, which can come in handy in some situations. For the last part, I want to show you guys some tricks and combos you can pull off thanks to the Koichi, which I'm currently testing and I really like. And you want to start your turn with 2 memory so that you can use the starter main to toss away any hybrid or ancient warrior to gain a memory. And then you can Digivolve into Kendo Garurumon for 3 costs because it can be treated as a yellow Digimon. Next, you're going to attack with Kendo Garurumon, and these are the moments where you can recur resources from your trash, whether you need to grab a Lobo or Ancient Guard to fulfill that warping condition. In this case, let's just say we had an Ancient Guard in hand already, so we're going to grab the Lobo. So when attacking, you're going to draw 1 as well, and then you can Digivolve into this Lobo, and then thanks to Lobo having Kendo Guard underneath it, you can once again warp into Ancient Guard and then repeat the same thing. In a different situation, if you have Takuya and Koji, Koichi can help you gain additional memory thanks to its recursion, which is always nice. At the start of main, this time we're just going to toss away the Ancient Garurumon to gain a memory. Then Digivolve into Lobomon for 3 costs this time. Any hybrid will do, and then you get to utilize its search, find pieces, but all you're really trying to go for is attack, grabbing this piece back. Then you get to Digivolve into Kendo Gar for 2 costs here. Just like before, using end of turn to attack with Kendo Gar, draw a card, and then you can Digivolve into Lobo. Lobo is going to let you warp into that Ancient Guard that you grab back for the 3 costs. And just like before, because the end of turn has already resolved, your Ancient Guard is going to stay on the board at the end of the turn still, and continuing the same combos, you get to bounce your opponent's Digimon, make them add a security all at the same time. Don't forget to grab the Spirit Transcendence collection on the AVAULT store right now as we have limited quantities. As always, thank you so much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. See you next video. And this is AVAULT signing out.